Right, what is up, gamers? You're watching Alarian as we take on the Explorer format. We just got the Anthology, which was a bit of a disappointment, but we got some cool cards here. Voice of Resurgence we are trying out in this 4-color Omnath deck. It gives us a pretty reasonable, just good value elemental to play on turn 2. The other ones that we've had previously on Arena are very aggressively slanted and not super great in the slower game that these 4-color Omnath decks tend to generate. So this card is a 2-mana 2/2. Whenever an opponent casts a spell during your turn, and when it dies, you make a green and white elemental token with this creature's power and toughness are equal to the number of creatures you control. So if your opponent kills this immediately, you play this on your turn, they cast Fatal Push or whatever, you immediately get 2/2 elemental tokens, which is pretty sweet. If it dies in combat, you get your token as well. A lot of white exile removal around, so we'll see how often that actually works out in our favor. Otherwise, we're doing rampy elemental stuff. Elementals is a deck because of Risen Reef. This card is a little bit ridiculous. So 3-mana 1/1, whenever it or another elemental enters the battlefield under your control, you look at the top card of your library. If it is a land, you can put it directly onto the battlefield. Otherwise, you can put the card into your hand. So this is an insane amount of card advantage when you have a reasonable number of elementals. It gets even more silly when you have multiple Risen Reefs. The lands being put into play works very well with the non-elemental creatures in the deck, which are here Lotus Cobra and Nissa Resurgent Animist, both of which say whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, you make 1 mana of any color. These are also both very helpful in getting the colors to cast the 3- and 4-color Omnaths here with our little janky mana base, but works out reasonably well. Nissa also says whenever the second land enters the battlefield, or whenever this ability triggers for the second time each turn, you reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal an elf or elemental, so it's a fair bit of card advantage as well. She is an elf, and of course we have lots of elementals in the elementals deck. 4-color Omnaths are both just generically pretty good. This one immediately banned in standard, just enters the battlefield, draws a card. Landfall, you get to do a bunch of stuff. If you have 2 lands, you get to go off with 4 mana, and then generally win very quickly at that point. Omnath Locus of the Royal here is how we actually close games most of the time, I find, with this deck. The others all kind of sit there. We get a whole lot of value, right? But then we're just left with a bunch of 1/1s and 2/1s and 3/3s and a couple 4/4s. Omnath Locus of the Royal gets you to put 1/1 counters on your creatures and also comes down and does a bunch of damage if you have other elementals in play. So draws cards if you have a bunch of lands. So we've got 2 here to sort of close out games. We are just very value and ramp focused. Now, Voice of Resurgence tokens will give us another large creature capable of ending games, so we'll see how that goes. All of these abilities go very well with Elishnorn, Mother of Machines. This makes every single creature here, basically every single card except Escape for the Wilds, trigger twice in our deck, right? So if a permanent entering the battlefield causes a triggered ability of something you control to trigger, it happens in additional time. Also turns off your opponent's ETB effects, so works reasonably well in the current format. Turns off Kiora draws in mono green, turns off Angel's deck entirely, turns off any sort of mirror. The Fires of Invention deck does a lot against those. Turns off Esika's Chariot against Greasefang and the Connive Dorkos, so Elishnorn worth it here as top end and allows us to do some really, really silly things. If you have like a Lotus Cobra and a Nissa in play with Elishnorn, and then every land gives you +4 mana is very ridiculous. Then we've got some removal here to keep us alive, Ossification and Leyline Binding, both pretty versatile, reasonably efficient, and there's not a whole lot of enchantment removal out there, so see if those do us well enough. We've only got 2 swamps for Leyline Binding, but this is pretty good for 2 mana too, and we will very consistently have at least the 4 types to cast this Omnath Locus of Creation. I don't think it's worth playing a basic swamp here to fetch with your Fabled Passage. We just have a couple black triomes here, but Might change my mind on that by the end of the day. We will see. Yeah, that just about explains it. We've got 27 lands here, as land triggers are very important to getting us to do what we want to do. And we need to have all the colors, of course. Escape to the Wilds. If we run out of gas, this gasses us back up pretty nicely. Is the Elementals deck. Let's go try it out. On the play, double Voice of the Wilds, not much else. Fabled Passage on 4. I mean, if I want to see if this card is good enough in Explorer, this is the hand to test it, so we'll try it. Thoughtseize, sure. Voice should be reasonable against Rakdos. Not very much chance of them exiling it. Of course, they're usually happy to play at sorcery speed. Using Reef, of course, phenomenal draw. Tapped land, push me, sure. 2-4-1, as they say. Start reefing. Draw enough, sure. Drawn a few too many forests for Omnath at the moment. Thought we have plenty of elementals to do the thing here. Leyline Binding. Guess we can bind the Fable, that's not too bad. Do they have things I'd rather bind? I guess Shieldred, but we've got a lot of these effects. Let's attack. Nope. I really want to fetch a mountain with this, though. That's the problem. Because that's what I need to cast Omnath here. So... guess we just let them Fable for the moment. Pretty happy to trade Voice for the token here if they offer that. We got another Risen Reef trigger. And they stop making treasures. There's a red source. New Fable, so now that I've found my red source, I can go ahead and get a Plains and bind that one. I guess I can wait and do that for when I have Omnath in play, though. No, I can't. Lame. Oh well. Shock this in. Play Omnath. Nice. Draw, not gas, though. Yeah. Jumpies, sure. Crack this now, deal 4. Stop their card selection Fable. I think that's more important than the one that's going to flip. Nice. Of course, the opponent does not know that I have 3 lands in my hand, but getting it done. Cool. Okay, this hand plays Lotus Cobra on turn 2. But if that lives, Omnath on turn 3. Could certainly do worse. If it doesn't live, then we can play Voice of Resurgence. Endless Shrine, Thoughtseize, sure. Take away all the plans I just made with my nice hand. usually Greasefang. We'll see. The tap land. Stomping Grounds does give us 1 mana Leyline Binding, which is pretty cool. Hallowed Fountain could still be Greasefang, could be Esper Control, I guess. Shock in, play Voice. Sealed Courtyard definitely suggests Greasefang over Control. Let's try an attack here. Hold up Binding. Lopsies, sure. Drew another Binding, which hopefully will make them rather upset. It does indeed. Leyline Binding is quite a card. As is Omnath. I could be putting thoughts into their head. Okay, we take the win. Bear Cavalry, what a name. I guess this is fine. We can play Voice on 2 into these on 3. Take it. It takes a second mulligan, a third mulligan, a fourth mulligan, and I suspect we have won again. 5, 6, 7, 8. One of those days, I guess. This hand, not so great. A long way off of Leyline Binding. We can't get both red and white mulligan this. That is better, but no blue source for Risen Reef is a bit concerning. I think we can try this on 6 though. Ideal draws so far. Our opponent playing something that looks more controlling. Definitely would have liked to get on the board faster here. Here we are, Trespasser. Fine. That we can ossify. Which I guess we will. Voice of Resurgence looks pretty bad into it. A long way from Locus of Oil being good, so I think we discard that one. Enough elementals here to trigger Risen Reef. Well, they're representing removal spells. Voice of Resurgence is pretty good into those. Please kill it on my turn. Oh yeah. Opponent maybe has not seen this card before. Or they just really want to draw proactive cards, perhaps. Foxy is fine. See my 3 not castable cards here. See if they think I'm going to draw an island. They do. Draw a mountain. Not exactly what we want. Play Voice first, so these are 3/3s to attack. Some sort of counterspell, it seems like, because they had priority with this on the stack, but not afterwards. Shadow's Verdict, very unfortunate. Untapped land? No. Rip. And now we are in bad shape. My testing games, I did not have any issue finding blue mana. Will, of course, happen sometimes in a 4-color deck. Okay. I think I'm gonna try and save Nissa for when we have a land as well. Just ossify Shieldred here. Okay, there's the land, so we can try and Nissa into Reef here. Maybe this will draw out the counterspell, and then we can resolve Escape to the Wilds next turn. Sure. Guess we go ahead and play this. Please. No. Unfortunate. Well, we get a blue source here at least. No third Thoughtseize, please. Okay. Risen Reef, do some cool stuff. Lotus Cobra. Not terribly appealing. I might have another Shadow's Verdict or something. I think I'd rather cycle the Triome here. Can do that on their turn. Go for the throat, sure. Cling to Dust back up. I imagine they will use to draw a card here. Sure. They're fairly low on resources too. I think we're still in this game. It's not great for us. Cycle this. Elish Norn. Yes, play around, make disappear. Doesn't die to Fatal Push. So Mr. Sabotage, what a hater. Play the Cobra. Yeah, the make disappear too. Jawari, very weird to get Jawari at this point in the game. In my big mana deck. Do have a lot of very effective draws though. Ramnath, Escape to the Wilds, good Risen Reef. Ossification, not one of them. There's 4-color Ramnath. There's Sabotage. Alright. Card Risen Reef, cool. If that's their best play here, I'm pretty happy, I think. Shouldn't be able to both kill my Omnath and stop Risen Reef this turn. Reef. Voice, nice draw as well, assuming the Reef resolves. Probably should attack with Omnath first. Decline, we'll draw that one. Way we can get both triggers for Omnath here. Nice. Sure, I'll put that into play. Bunch of mana, nothing to do with it, unfortunately. Deal 4 though, not too bad. Gain 4 life on their turn as well. might pull this one out. Or I might save the passage to deal 4 again. Alright, sure. Probably have another sweeper of some sort. We're out of Omnath triggers, so I'll put that in my hand. I'll put that in my hand as well. We can cycle it. Gotta have some sort of sweeper here, right? But even then, right, it would be better to do that and kill the token. Alright, we were behind for a while there, but we'll take those. Just too much gas. That's fine. Have to decide between blue and white off our broker's hideout. And opponent might combo us out before we get to doing anything. Gingerbrute looks like they're the aggro version. Let's see. Guess we get a white source here. Wisdom Reef can wait, unfortunately. Doctor, no Soul Artifact, please. Yeah, the Ensoul Artifact. Maybe? Maybe not? They do, sure. Take 6. Or something else. Empty-handed on turn 2. Quite the draw from the opponent here. Not super likely we can beat anything like that. We're taking 9 in the air here, and we have no way to take out both flyers next turn. That's going to be our first loss with this deck. 10, right? Because the Gingerbrute's unblockable. Yeah, you got me. We have a lot of lands in the deck. If we draw an untapped one on turn 2, the sand is pretty sweet. Even if we don't, if we draw a fetch on turn 3, we're in pretty good shape. Draw the untapped for turn 2, cool. Does not cast Voice of Resurgence, but does cast Ossification of Cobra. Feel like they have a removal spell here, very likely. I guess I save my Cobra for next turn. I can at least get mana off the broker's hideout. Sure. It's very possible they kill it before I get the second mana. Worth a try anyway. Not like I had better plays this turn. Sure. Rude. Go ahead and get... Oh, that's tough. Guess we get a green source so we can at least cast Voice of Resurgence next turn. If they're being Rakdos and doing very slow things, we should be able to outvalue them. Shieldred. Cannot play Voice and Ossification. We can play Nissa and Ossification though, that's pretty good. This, make white. Get that out of here. Here we go. -2. Kills Nissa, fine. Fable, sure. Okay, that is a land that can cast Voice of Resurgence after my Risen Reef. Or I can play Omnath into Reef Voice of Resurgence. That's almost certainly better. Can't be too greedy with the Risen Reef triggers. Does it matter what I get here? Yes, I need to get a forest. Sure, I'll put that in play. Take 4. I'm out of triggers. But then if I put this into play, I can Omnath into have this be my 8th land next turn, so I'll put this into play. Eighth land, of course, being the line where when you play a land with this in play, you get 2 draw cards. This card's 1 card. Spooky. Rude. They're at 12, though. Again, super happy to block when I have Risen Reef in play. Going to Fatal Push something. That's fine. I guess they're worried about their life total, but Risen Reef is really good. Like they know we only have a land in hand. Risen Reef is how we stay in this game. I guess they don't have that much going on either here. Cycle this. Try and find something better. That sure is better, folks. Double Risen Reef trigger. Yeah, we'll put that in. Sure. Let's see, they don't have any blockers. We'll go ahead and attack here. Draw a card, lose life. Do not find a Fatal Push for my token. End the turn. They don't put any big bad permanents in play. We'll bind their reflection here. Well, can't bind that one, unfortunately. Not until we draw a card. We'll just take out the reflection here. Attack for 3. Trades? Sure. Another Fable. Pretty sure I'm supposed to bind the Fable here, not the token. Because they are at 8, huh? So we have Ossifications that can deal with the token. Alright. We don't need to be that aggressive. We have a strong late game. Especially with 2 Risen Reefs in play. Alright, that should be game. Oh yeah. Now we're doing it. Probably should have played Lotus Cobra there, then land Risen Reef, but doesn't matter. Value Town. Nothing until turn 3 on the draw is not terribly good, but we have all of our colors. We're on the draw. We'll draw something to do earlier. Probably should have let on Temple Garden, so if we draw a Triome, we could have Binding up. Save the fetch land for when we have Nissa in play. Stop me? No. No land. Cool, cool. Do you want to just slam Nissa here? I guess I want to play Omnath next turn anyway. Then escape the turn after that. Yeah, they have a kill spell, so be it. We have lots of things that they will want to kill. We're not really getting anything done this turn otherwise. Unless they draw the land and play Fable. There's a Reef, huh? We can wait and play Omnath next turn with Risen Reef stuff going on. It's not terrible. But then we're taking damage from the 2-2, which I don't love. Let's play Omnath. Draw Fable Passage, sure. Kill my Omnath, sure. Got a 2-for-1, we'll take those. Graveyard, a Trespasser. And they're through two go for the throats already. Doesn't seem likely that they'll be able to kill Elish Norn here. Alright, and our other option is... I guess we can Risen Reef and Leyline Binding, which is not terrible. But we can do that next turn too. Go ahead and get a second white source here, I think. Please no third go for the throat. Or Liliana the Veil.
Nobody knows Dominaria's shadows. Off
Looks
you
like
go.
they drew the land just in time here. Pretty rough shape. Number Crusher. We're taking a lot of damage here. Let's see, can Lotus Cobra help us do anything silly here? Guess we can Cobra into Escape to the Wilds. We can passage into Voice of Resurgence, or second Cobra. Guess it's second Cobra, just try and stay alive until next turn. Or Wisdom Reef. Does Wisdom Reef do that much for us here? Kinda want another Cobra to block. So I can block with one of them and still have a Cobra in play. Tough here. Guess we just play the Cobra. See what happens. Can't have more removal spells, right? But we do have to double chump here, right? And we need... No, are we just dead to Den of the Bugbear? No, because then they don't get the other Bone Crusher. We are dead to untapped land, dead of Bugbear. I'll play the turn out, see how things go. Each player discards. Sure.
Don't overthink.
Drop off our land. And cut down. Yeah, dead. Maybe they don't see it. It's not lethal. I will keep my Lotus Cobra. I guess we're gonna try and Croxa here. I think I need Lotus Cobra to go off sufficiently next turn to come back here. So we go to 2. We play Croxa. We have to discard Leyline Binding. This Risen Reef is the way that we somehow pull things out. Guess we Cobra. Land. Green. Blue. Red. Risen Reef. Leyline Binding. Does Leyline Binding keep us alive here? If we bind the Croxa... No, then we're just dead to Den of the Bugbear. So we need to get a bit more here. We had a land here. No such luck. Guess I should have played my swamp a while back. Or the basic swamp. Well, I guess we're not dead. We can discard the land binding to Croxa.
Drop it.
We do have to chunk the whole board away, though. Now they have 6 attackers. Oh, they had 6 attackers, but yeah, we're dead to this trigger. No, there's no more creatures. But we do have to let our Risen Reef die, which is... yeah, we're just done here. If we found the untapped land there to take out Croxa, maybe our blocks there are a little bit better, but we're just a bit behind this game. Didn't have a 2-drop. What are you going to do? And as long as we draw gas, this hand is cool. Hard to turn down double Lotus Cobra. Onyx on Devotion, sure. One short being able to play both voices here. Play 1. Attack for 2. That's 4 mana, Keruga, 2 control or something here, I imagine.
Let's get moving.
We need to draw any of our top end cards. Resurgence, fine. That counts. So white, green, no, so we have to make red off Lotus Cobra. We're fine. Omnath, draw, hideout. I kind of want to save the voice for a Risen Reef. Putting it down right now doesn't really get us anywhere. Fortunately, we kind of just have to let them do their thing here. Maybe I need to be a bit more picky about my hands here. Need a 2-drop and the top end cards to Storm the Festival. We can whiff. Maybe. They can also end our career here. Make this second Kiora.
Defying you will be easy.
They do have 6 mana if they untap their Wolflow Haven. So they can storm again if they have one.
I love to make a
Or play Cavalier, what have you. I guess they can just flip their Pelucranos. We do have a hard time dealing with a 6/6. Well, not really. We have plenty of removal spells that do it. Honestly, Ossification is a fine draw here. Not anymore. We had drawn Elish Norn. We could have stopped all this nonsense. Pass. And we draw another land. Not great. They have Storm Festival and infinite mana next turn. Just gonna move on. Don't need to watch them play with themselves. So we can Cobra Voice on turn 3 against Keruga. Really like to see some Risen Reefs. Ossification's not terribly good against Keruga. We'll get in here. The Unbinding is better, but not with only 2 land types. I think we'll try this. A long way from casting these. Keep Ossification. Alright, Fabled Passage solves our problems. Mostly. As long as the Cobra lives, we can cast Omnath. Swamp does not make me feel like the Cobra's going to live. Thanks. Elish Norn, if we can get to it, it's pretty good against them though. Let's go and Crusher, sure. Could get an island here. And Cry. So we can just ossify this. And if they have fires next turn, it sucks, but we have to take some risks since we're behind here. Nice Keruga. Draw more 4-drops. Ouch. got for me, opponent? And it's nothing. Sure. Don't really have a choice but to play this. Reasonably sure they have something that kills it. But need it in play to do anything next turn. Guess at least now they have a permanent in play that we can bind. Sacred Triumph, sure. They have all math. Negate 4. Okay, so that allows us to cast something. So just slam our own math here. So if we bind that first, then we only have 3 mana off of Missa, so it doesn't really get us anywhere. So I think let's just play our own Omnath. More bindings. One more mana. Can land Elishnorn, which might save us from the brink here. It gets to pop off a bit. Lucky for them. Incarnation. Not great. Just Keruga, draw back to a full hand. Yeah. See what they get off the Incarnation, but very possible this is a big game. They probably have second Omnath in hand. We also have second Omnath in hand. I think don't do it, huh? Alright, so we can bind their binding. And then what? Then play Locus of the Royal. So bind their binding, we get back Nissa, then we only have 3 mana. And we can play this, bind their binding, get back Nissa, and we still have 3 mana. Doesn't seem great. Let's do it here. To hold up this Island Binding. Maybe if they go for something greedy with Enigmatic Incarnation, we can stop them from doing that. Fire is sure. Not set a stop at end of combat. I think I just want to bind the fires before they get to use it here. Now I think this trade is fine. Fable, sure. So now we can play Elishnorn. I guess they can go get a 4-drop, see if they have any spooky 4-drops. Just another extra. Okay, we can Elesh Norn into make 4 mana. That's pretty good. So green, white. Blue, red. On Mathwoods Creation, draw 2 cards. Okay. See how much of their deck Elesh Norn turns off here. It's entirely possible they just don't have a way to beat this card. -2, no life gain. Fable, sure. Step, sacrifice Fable. Don't sacrifice Fable. Love to see that. Guess we're still 1 land away from this doing the thing, but I guess we should play this first. We get the 1/1 counters. Don't get to draw cards just yet, but that doesn't mean it's not good. Guess we just take out their Fable tokens. Their Omnath's not doing anything at the moment. Side out. Make some triggers. Make some more triggers. Risen Reef, sweet. Think we're doing it. See, it's a good chance I'm legend ruling this on math, so probably shouldn't put too many counters there. Risen Reef with Elesh Norn in play. Now I'm happy. This is what I wanted to see. Absolutely, I'll put that in play. Put some counters on my Risen Reef so it doesn't dare to stomp. Should have put both of them there, but it's fine. This game should be over. Oh yeah. Now let's see. We can bind them. Take out both their creatures, which is not terrible. But who am I kidding? What I really want to do is play Risen Reef. Get 4 triggers. Take action. Draw 2 cards off of Omnath. Take action. I guess I should pump up this one that's attacking this turn, because I would like to just hit them for lethal here. Bang, 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 bang. Guess I'm running a little short on green. Alright, opponents have enough. At this point, Leyline Binding, exile their blockers, plus Omnath to the face should be lethal. Cool stuff. Right, and we are back. Went 6-3, pretty impressive record here. Got to do the thing quite a bit. Keep hands with Risen Reef. Risen Reef is what makes this deck really go places. A lot of the hands that don't have the Risen Reef, or at least some way to draw cards with Omnath or Escape to the Wilds. We did Fizzle Out and die with just Lotus Cobras and Voice of Resurgence a couple times. It's part of what is so nice about Nissa. She can help you find those better elementals with the landfall trigger. So maybe you want to go up to a 4th Nissa. I could see that being reasonable. Ossification we pretty much only drew when we didn't really need it for the most part. Certainly would have liked to see it in that game against Mono Green. Right, if we took out their Kiora and or their Pelugrinos in that game, it would have been entirely different. Elish Norn, the one time she came down, was very sweet. In my testing games, I've really just popped off with a whole bunch of triggers with Elish Norn. Basically, if you have Elish Norn and Risen Reef in play, you kind of win the game on the spot, which is pretty cool. I think the balance of Omnaths is fine. We don't really need to be putting 1/1 counters on things to pump up the damage in like the early mid-game. It's just, this is a really nice card to reload if you get to 8 lands and have been swept to oblivion or something like that. Right, playing this and then a fetch land that draws 2 cards and puts 2 1/1 counters on things is very nice. We don't want too many of them. Also, it being able to burn face when we get to having a bunch of things in play with Elish Norn and all that is cool. Probably do want to up the swamp count a little bit for Leyline Binding. I don't know if that is in the form of a basic swamp, though. It could be we just swap out some of the triomes that don't have the swamp type and put in swamp ones. But the mana is, of course, pretty tricky in your 4-colored deck that very often wants to make green and white on turn 2. Right, to play Lotus Cobra or Ossification or Voice of Resurgence, which makes it kind of tough. We also need some amount of untapped lands to do things on curve instead of behind curve, but we also want some amount of fetch lands to do the fun stuff with Lotus Cobra and Nissa. And Omnath, of course. I think 9 fetch lands here is a reasonable number. I think I like the balance between tapped lands and untapped lands. Maybe you can get rid of some of the basics. Maybe we don't need quite so many basics. Like you can go down a forest and maybe play like a shock or 2 that has swamp in the type. Right, like you could cut a forest and put it in Overgrown Tomb just to help that a little bit. Maybe you get 1 basic swamp just so it's fetchable off Fabled Passage, which of course gives you a lot more total sources, but basic swamp doesn't cast Omnath on turn 4. It makes it very difficult to cast other Omnath on turn 4. It makes it difficult to cast Voice of Resurgence and Risen Reef, so I really don't think that's the way you want to go with these things. Escape to the Wilds was decent, right? That's sort of card where if it's in your opening hand and you're stuck on 3 lands, it's going to feel terrible, but if you got swept and you draw it on turn 7 and you have nothing else going for you, it's going to feel phenomenal. I think 3 is fine. You'd probably get away with 2. Yeah, but I think this deck has legs. You get to do fun stuff, lots of triggers. Everyone should get some enjoyment out of that. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching.